today I want to go further to look at some other things that could impair health. Yes, and these are things that over time people have overlooked, but researches has shown that in as much as these things look so casual and very little, they have a long role and a long way to play negatively or positively on our mental health and stability. Let's get at it and get it rolling. Welcome to the Exquisite Health Consult. Your health remains our priority. Hi, good day to us all. Welcome back again to my YouTube channel. I remain your favorite health tip coach, Dorcas NAA. So today we want to continue with the part 2 on how we should improve our mental health. Yes, so in the previous videos we already spoke about some things that could impair negatively on our mental health, and things like traumatic experiences from childhood, war, poverty, doing something you don't really love, maybe just because of the money. And we also mentioned some tips which would help you to manage these things and to improve on your mental health and stability. So today we want to go further to look at some other things that could impair health. Yes, and these are things that over time people have overlooked, but researches has shown that in as much as these things look so casual and very little, they have a long role and a long way to play negatively or positively on our mental health and stability. Let's get at it and get it rolling. So point number one of the things that could impair negatively on our mental health is bitterness. Yes, bitterness. What do I mean by bitterness? This is a state of the mind where people are perpetually unhappy and angry over unimaginable things. They are bitter, angry, or sad over things that the people who may have even offended them do not know about. So isn't that quite alarming? That someone is angry and the person whom he or she is angry towards doesn't even know that they are angry or why they are angry. I want you to understand that bitterness doesn't affect the offender in any way, but it affects the offendee, and it affects both your emotional health, your mental health, which could in turn play on your physical body health. It is very important to note that in as much as offenses will come in life, people are bound to offend you, people are bound to make you have reasons to hate them. For the sake of your mental health and stability, I would advise that you check the state of your heart to avoid bitterness. Some persons may have hurt you over time. I feel that the best way to manage such is by sitting down with that person and talking it over. Even if you are not able to sit down with the person to talk it over, you could just send an SMS, you could just create an avenue of communication to talk about the way you feel about how that person had treated you from time past. If not for anything, for your mental stability. Don't forget this. Bitterness does not affect the offender. The fact that you're bitter towards the person doesn't stop the person from enjoying his or her life. Rather, it stops you, it limits you, and it makes you sick mentally. So bitterness should be avoided like a plague. Point number 2. I would target being pessimistic. Yes, pessimism has a long way to play on your mental health, your stability, because pessimism is a product of a mindset. There are just some persons that in everything that happens in or around their lives, they only see the negative part of it. They do not see the benefits, the importance, they do not see the opportunities that they could make out of the happenings around your lives. They only see the negative aspect of it. Please, I want you to understand that a man is a product of his mindset. So when you keep on thinking negative things, I assure you that in sooner or no time, everything about you will become negative, and that has a long way to play on your mental stability. Let me give this very common example. While growing up through primary school, secondary school, I had always been afraid of mathematics. That is true. And I felt that mathematics is super hard. Yes, like I felt that it was hard. And trust me, I never did well in mathematics, especially in the primary school. Like I could score 80s, 90s in all the subjects. The mathematics, it would always be 35, 37%. Yes. Then I think that one of the things that helped me was that my mom came to understand that I was pessimistic about mathematics, which was why I was always feeling it. I had the approach to it with the mindset that it was hard. And she had to correct the mindset in me. She told me that it is doable. Yes, like I still know the word. She said mathematics is doable. And she would always say, those doing it don't have 5 heads and you have 1. And somehow that changed my mindset towards it. And my fear for mathematics died. This thing called fear impacts your mental health. Yes, and that takes me to point number 3. But before then, please be optimistic about the happenings in your life, even if it looks like a bad occurrences. Try to see opportunities in it and make good use of them. Even if it's bad, just choose to not allow it to change your mindset about that particular thing, that particular set of persons, or that particular job. Remain optimistic. It has a long way to play on your mental health. Point number 3, something else that affects your mental health that is easily overlooked is fear. Some persons just make fear their comfort zone and just say, oh, I have phobia for this. Phobia, fear has a long way to play on your mental health and stability. One of the ways to approach life is to kill your fears, because whatsoever you're afraid of, most times in life you encounter them. You must work on your mind to kill fear of anything or everything that you're experiencing or something that you're faced with in life. Fear has a long way to impact on your mental health. So how do we deal with these things that we've mentioned? Number 1, we spoke about bitterness. Please, my advice is get a bank full of forgiveness. The truth is, offenses will come as long as you're a human being and you're in this world. No one is perfect. So someone somewhere out there would offend you sometime, someday. So expect that offenses will come. The question is, how do you manage these offenses? Number 1, have a bank full of forgiveness. I have a friend that told me that he has a bank full of forgiveness, so he has it ahead of your offense, so that when the offense comes, it is easier for him to make some excuses for your actions and to forgive you, not because you deserve it, but because he needs to be mentally healthy, stable, and spiritually sound, which is very true. So avoid nursing bitterness, because it affects you, the offendee, not the offender. The offender is out there living his life, and you're here wallowing in bitterness, which could obstruct your thinking capacity, obstruct your mental stability. Then number 2, we mentioned pessimism. So decide to be optimistic. When things are happening, be quicker to see the positivity of the occurrences than the negativity. Be optimistic about life generally, and that makes you to be mentally sound, and that gives you room for intellectual improvement. That helps you to think of a way out instead of wallowing in the situation at hand. Then point number 3, we mentioned fear. So how do you kill your fear? Build your faith. Where fear exists, faith can never be found. And where there is faith, fear is not found. And that takes us to scriptures. The best way to build your faith is through the Bible. Study the Word of God and see what the Word of God is telling you about yourself, and see what the Word of God is telling you about that situation. That is one way to kill your fear. Secondly, be intentional about killing your fear by daring your fear. That thing you fear the most, dare it, and then you come to observe that the fear was just a mirage in your mind. Yes, the fear was just a mirage in your mind. That thing is doable. So to summarize my story, I think in the higher institution, I happened to teach a couple of friends calculus. This was a lady who was damn afraid of mathematics from primary school. Yes, but when I was able to overcome my fear, I gave more time into studying the mathematics. And in secondary school, it was a work of art, especially the senior secondary school. It became a work of art, and in the high institution, I taught a couple of friends calculus. Yes, and that was how I grew in loving mathematics, even to date. And I've taught a lot of students, even after school, mathematics. So dare your fear, that thing that makes you to be too afraid. Dare it, attempt it, work at it, and you will come to realize that the fear was just a notion you had in your mind, that it really doesn't exist, and you could overcome it. So this brings us to the end of a session on mental health for now. Please, we are open to more comments and contributions at the comment section. We are also open to critics, because that is the only way we grow. And I want to just use this opportunity to thank you for always staying true, for clicking, for watching, for sharing, and for the critics. Like, I love them. I really love them, because they give me room to grow and to improve, and that's why I'm getting better. Thank you so much, and don't forget to do the usual: share, subscribe, like, watch. Just save your life. That's the goal. All right, so enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye bye.